The Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 3, Karma Yoga. Arjuna. But Krishna, if you consider knowledge of Brahman superior to any sort of action, why are you telling me to do these terrible deeds? What you're saying seems to contradict each other. It confuses my mind. Tell me one definite way of reaching the highest good. Sri Krishna. I've already told you that. In this world, aspirants may find enlightenment by two different paths. For the contemplative is the path of knowledge. For the active is the path of selfless action. Freedom from activity is never achieved by abstaining from action. Nobody can become perfect by merely ceasing to act. In fact, nobody can ever rest from his activity, even for a moment. Everybody is helplessly forced to act by the gunas. A man who renounces certain physical actions, but still lets his mind dwell on the objects of his sensual desire, is deceiving himself. He can only be called a hypocrite. The truly admirable man controls his senses by the power of his will. All his actions are disinterested. All are directed along the path to union with Brahman. Activity is better than inertia. Act, but with self-control. If you're lazy, you can't even sustain your own body. The world is imprisoned in its own activity, except when actions are performed as worship of God. Therefore you must perform every action sacramentally and be free from all attachments to results. In the beginning, the Lord of beings created all men, to each his duty. Do this, he said, and you will prosper. Duty well done fulfills desire, like Kamadhenu, the wish fulfiller. Doing of duty honors the devas. To you, the devas, in turn will be gracious, each honoring other. Man reaches the highest. Please the devas, and you will be granted. But he who enjoys the devas' bounty, showing no thanks, he steals from the devas. Pious men eat what the gods leave over, and after the offering, thus they are sinless. But those ungodly, cooking good food for the greed of their stomachs, sin as they eat it. Food quickens the life sperm. Food grows from the rainfall, called down out of heaven by sacrifice offered. Sacrifice speaks through the act of the ritual. This is the ritual taught by the sacred scriptures that bring from the lips of the changeless. Know therefore that Brahman, the all-pervading, is dwelling forever within the ritual. If a man plays no part in the acts thus appointed, his living is evil, his joy is in lusting. Know this, O Prince, his life is for nothing. But when a man has found delight and satisfaction and peace in the Atman, then he is no longer obliged to perform any kind of action. He has nothing to gain in this world by action, nothing to lose by refraining from action. He is independent of everybody, everything. Do your duty, always, but without attachment. That is how a man reaches the ultimate truth, by working without anxiety about results. In fact, Janaka and many others reached enlightenment simply because they did their duty in the spirit. Your motive in working should be to set others, by your example, on the path of duty. Whatever a great man does, ordinary people will imitate. They follow his example. Consider me. I am not bound by any sort of duty. There is nothing in all the three worlds which I do not already possess. Nothing I have yet to acquire. But I go on working, nevertheless. If I did not continue to work untiringly as I do, mankind would still follow me, no matter where I led them. Suppose I was to stop. They would all be lost. The result would be caste mixture, universal destruction. The ignorant work for the fruit of their action. The wise must work also without desire, pointing man's feet to the path of his duty. Let the wise beware, lest they bewilder the minds of the ignorant, hungry for action. Let them show by example how work is holy, when the heart of the worker is fixed on the highest. Every action is really performed by the gunas. Man deluded by his egoism thinks, I am the doer. But he who has true insight into the operations of the gunas and their various functions knows that when senses attach themselves to objects, gunas are merely attaching themselves to gunas. Knowing this, he does not become attached to his actions. The illumined soul must not create confusion in the minds of the ignorant by refraining from work. The ignorant, in their delusion, identify the Atman with the gunas. They become tied to the senses and the action of the senses. Shake off this fever of ignorance. Stop hoping for worldly rewards. Fix your mind on Atman. Be free from the sense of ego. Dedicate all your actions to me. Then go forward and fight. If a man keeps following my teaching with faith in his heart and does not make mental reservations, he will be released from the bondage of his karma. But those who scorn my teaching and do not follow it are lost. They are without spiritual discrimination. All their knowledge is a delusion. Even a wise man acts according to the tendencies of his own nature. All living creatures follow their tendencies. What use is any external restraint? The attraction and aversion which the senses feel for different objects are natural. But you must not give way to such feelings. They are obstacles. Better to do your own duty, however imperfectly, than to assume the duties of another person, however successfully. Prefer to die doing your own duty. The duty of another will bring you into great spiritual danger. Arjuna. Krishna, what is it that makes a man do evil, even against his own will, under compulsion as it were? Sri Krishna. The Rajo Guna has two faces, rage, lust. The ravenous, the deadly recognize these. They are your enemies. Smoke hides fire. Dust hides a mirror. The womb hides the embryo. By lust, the Atman is hidden. Lust hides the Atman in its hungry flames, the wise man's faithful foe. Intellect, senses, mind are fuel to its fire. Thus it deludes the dweller in the body, bewildering his judgment. Therefore, Arjuna, you must first control your senses, then kill this evil thing which obstructs discriminative knowledge and the realization of the Atman. The senses are said to be higher than the sense object. The mind is higher than the senses. The intelligent will is higher than the mind. What is higher than the intelligent will? The Atman itself. You must know him who is above the intelligent will. Get control of the mind through spiritual discrimination. Then destroy your elusive enemy, who wears the form of lust.